Hey guys, how's it going? This is Sidewinder for Community Starcraft 2. I'm here for another game. I'm sorry if I sound a little run down. I'm super tired, super exhausted from casting basically all night, and I'm going to be bringing you a game here, which is the red Protoss player Grunt. He's going to be fighting the blue Zerg player pHaCe or pHaCe. I don't know exactly what he wants to say, like face with the PH, I guess. I don't know. This is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg on Tal'Darim Altar. We will see exactly what unfolds. I do fully expect this Protoss player to go for a Forge Fast Expand, which is extremely normal on this map, and especially against Zerg, so considering that's really the only place that it is viable. He is going to drop that and go ahead and scout on a normal timing. As this game is sort of charging up, we will, or rather I will, I always say we as if I'm more than one person, but nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead and say that if you have your own replays, I will cast them. Some of these replays are from people that actually send them to me. Some of them are from just random replays that I download. This was a replay that I just randomly downloaded. But if you have your own, send it to me by email. That's going to be at communitysc2@live.com. Send them over there, and I'll cast them. If they're a cool game, I'll post them. If I don't post them, then you can send me as many more games as you want up until you get posted. I'll happily cast them, so go ahead and do that. And we'll have a lot of fun checking out your games. We're going to see a spawning pool coming down here for, I'm going to call him pHaCe. We're going to see a spawning pool down here on from pHaCe on 15. It's a little bit unusual to see a spawning pool that late. Some drones come out to try and punch this probe to death, but it doesn't work. Probe comes back in here for more, and he dies. So a little bit of a worker fight, and that probe gets really greedy, trying to do some damage to these drones. But the drones turn around and say, what's up? I'm just going to deck you in the face and see how you like that. And the probe did not like it because now he's dead. This is a funny little reversal of roles here between these two workers, because what you'll see so often is a little dancing battle between the Protoss and Zerg, but the Protoss player will be the one doing the dancing in order to prevent a Zerg expansion from going down. In this case, it's the drone doing the dancing, trying to prevent that. And look at that. He got out of there with 1 health, and now he's going to steal the extractor without dying. So this is going to be some really advanced scouting information from pHaCe. This, so far, has been a very fun replay. It's been nothing but workers fighting each other. Both of them are getting their expansions down almost the same time. Protoss player's a little bit behind, but I'd love to see that little reversal of role of the drone coming in here and harassing the probe from putting down the Nexus. It's pretty rare to see that, actually. Some pretty cool stuff. There's a pylon coming down here which should complete the wall after a cybernetics core is dropped. I'm not sure if that leaves either one space open for a zealot to stand there or not, but I guess we'll find out. This Zerg player does let this extractor finish, so he's going to keep this Protoss player off of his gas for a little longer than he'd like. Most of the time when you go for this Forge Fast Expand, it's really common to throw down 2 gases, so instead he's going to throw down a gas here at his natural. And go ahead and mine off of it. As soon as this Nexus finishes, he's going to throw down his 3rd gas as well. And in response, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and pull the production tab here. I don't know what I'm thinking. But here comes the hatchery from the Zerg player. It's going to be the 3rd hatch very fast. It's not even 5 minutes, and it's already been started. So he probably started this about 4:15 or so to finally get this started. But on the production tab, we don't see anything unusual coming down. Cybernetics core coming down here from the Protoss player. I couldn't find where I downloaded this replay from again. I do believe this is Masters, though. So 2 pretty high-level players playing. I thought I should mention. Up comes a Stargate, which is fairly normal from Protoss versus Zerg now on this Forge Fast Expand. Considering Stargate units can hold any sort of Roach-Ling nonsense that might be coming up to your front door. So we may be seeing some Void Rays out of him or Phoenix in order to try to grab map control away. Checking production tab, he's throwing us down a 2nd cannon, but it's a little strange to throw down a 2nd cannon without really any more scouting information. Ideally, if you run this build, it is best to keep a probe out there somewhere so you can get a scout in there a little bit later and see what he's doing. Maybe hide a probe like over here so that you can run it in a little bit later and see what's going on. But he did not get that done because his probe that he sent out there got beat up by drones and killed. Indeed, we do see a Void Ray coming out of this Stargate, just rallying over to in front of his base. If you use this Void Ray for map control to kill units at the Watchtower, kill overlords if you can find them, or just come in here and bug the Zerg player in order to put out, or make them put out any sort of anti-air. That will be interesting. And here's an interesting little development. Air weapons level 1 is coming down before his warp gate tech. So that signals extremely heavy Stargate usage, but he's not dropped a additional Stargate yet. I do expect him to, considering if you're trying to macro up a Stargate army off of one Stargate, and obviously he's going to want to if he's going to be getting this +1 upgrade, it'll be a little bit weaker as opposed to if you can throw down a bunch of extra Stargates and roll with that instead. Some drones, or rather probes, are going to be trying to focus down this extractor so he can take this extra gas. He is floating just a little bit of minerals and a little bit of gas, as well as the Zerg player is, but the Zerg player is macroing to his heart's content. He's actually a little bit behind in workers right now, which is actually kind of unusual, but there are 9 about to pop that'll put him well ahead, so here he goes. Jumps into the lead, and he is putting down his lair. It's pretty normal timing. He's getting extra queens out, not only to prevent from the Stargate harassment that he may be fearing is upcoming, but he's spreading his creep, trying to get map control. And look at this, there's 2 more Stargates coming down right here. So this is very unusual to see 3 Stargates like this. I used to, well, I kind of still do, run a heavy Stargate build, but I don't go for 3 Stargates anymore. I used to, but then I realized that there were some flaws with my build order and relying too heavily on Stargate units. But this Grunt Protoss player does not care. And look at this, a Fleet Beacon is coming down. Fleet Beacon coming down here at the natural. So this is interesting. On these 3 Stargates, I would expect carriers. I would expect carriers off of 3 Stargates and showing a Fleet Beacon this early. So this is interesting. You don't see carriers very often at all, especially not in Masters, as I am pretty sure where this replay is from, as we can check the APM tab once again, and especially not against Zerg. I'm really interested to see where this game goes. Again, carriers are so unusual in this matchup, and especially to be showing carriers this fast. His Fleet Beacon is done. And here are the carriers starting. So yes, that's indeed what we're seeing. The Zerg player is actually throwing down a Spire. He is playing a little bit blind, but here come the Phoenix. He's going to know for sure there is Stargate units on the field. Here come the Phoenix, and the Voiders are kind of poking around the back. They do take a little bit of damage from this Spore Crawler. Phoenix are now rallying around, trying to see if they can pick off any Overlords, but there's great defense at all these. He's going to lose one of these Phoenix, so down one of them goes. He's doing a little bit of scouting, and not really getting a whole lot done with those, but yeah, carriers in Protoss versus Zerg, so rare. Up comes 3 more cannons for this Protoss player at his 3rd, which this is, I mean, textbook stuff. How you want to run heavy Stargate plays, a lot of cannons to spend your extra resources to protect yourself while your Stargate units go to work. Here comes some Phoenix trying to bug some Overlords, but there's only 2 here, not going to do very much against these Overlords. The Zerg player is knocking down his rocks in order to get the 4th, and the Protoss player smartly picks off the drone that was waiting here to start this hatchery. It's going to delay the hatchery by just a little bit. Queens are pressing out, not really pressing out, but kind of just crawling out on this creep. These carriers, the first ones are about to pop. Here's the first one, are already on the field. You can right-click this Build Interceptor button, and it will build interceptors for you automatically. One interesting thing about carriers is that their damage output scales so well. Base, they start at 5, and they go up to 8 max once you get +3 attack on here. And you want to be keeping these spinning as much as you can, as soon as you can afford it on the gas. But if you keep these things spinning, you're going to get these carriers up to +3, which increases their damage output by a lot. It increases it by 60%. Which is basically the best upgrade scaling unit in the game. I believe Zerglings also upgrade or scale that much, but the raw DPS of fully upgraded carriers is obviously dwarfing to Zerglings. Now what we do see is this Zerg player is not respecting this Stargate stuff at all. He's putting down an Ultralisk Cavern, he's putting down a Baneling's Nest, so his theory might be, if you're going to go for a lot of Stargate units, I'll put down a few anti-Stargate units like Queens and Corruptors and whatever. I'm sure you're not going to be committing that hard to it, I'll just pump out some Ultralisks and some Banelings and just go in there and blow up your base. So we may be seeing an interesting base trade situation, but if these two armies engage full on, it's obvious who's going to win, because the air defense for this Zerg player is skimpy at best, and I still can't believe there's carriers on the field. This is so weird to see this. But yes, there are carriers on the field. There's now 5. There are 2 more in production, and he's again really scraping by on his resources in order to try to get everything out. These carriers will be +2 as soon as they can finish these upgrades, but these upgrades seem like they take forever. 220. That's almost 4 minutes without chrono boost, so you need to be chrono boosting this as much as you can. He is chrono boosting out probes to try and get his 4th set up. I'm also wondering, there's 2 more Stargates coming out, so apparently he's got this build pretty calculated as far as what he can support off of these Stargates in relation to his income. And that seems about right, since it takes carriers so long to build. Carriers have build time of 120, so that means they're going to be eating up about 125 gas every minute per Stargate that's up. And if you take a look at your income, the income of the Protoss player is going to be at about 800, a little more on the gas. And that's really going to be what is going to be restricting your build times. But that sounds about right. 125 for, what's this going to be, 5 Stargates. And you should be able to produce constant carriers off of those 5 Stargates without any interruption. There are some Void Rays being mixed in here as well, which I actually really like that, because if your carriers are struggling too much against a lot of other units, and you need Void Rays out there to help them out. Here come a bunch of Zerglings. They're going to try to deny this 4th, but there's so many cannons up here that the cannons are going to really whittle down these numbers, and the air fleet should report to this fight before too many probes go down. They are just trying to focus down the Nexus though, but they're not going to get it, because he's now revealing these carriers to the Zerg player, assuming the Zerg player had not scouted them yet. But this has got to be a huge shock if you're not expecting something like this, because you never ever see... is he on 0 gateways? Yeah, you never ever see 0 gateways and 5 Stargates out of Protoss. There's now a robotics facility coming down, possibly just for detection. You know, for like infestors or something, because if they fungal growth and get like some neural parasites off on these carriers, that could really change the battle. But nevertheless, more carriers coming out. The Zerg player does have a ton of Ultralisks and Banelings on the field, so we've been paying so much attention to the Protoss player. But the Zerg player, again, is really not respecting these carriers like he should be. His air defense is frankly pathetic. I mean, it'll get focused down so fast that he's going to have to be relying on the ground army just coming in there and knocking these bases down faster than the carriers can do their damage. But fully upgraded carriers in terms of attack are so scary. We do see +3 air weapons on the way, which I've very rarely seen this icon before, because it's almost never you see such a heavy committal to Stargate units, especially carriers. I can't state how unusual this is enough, and I love Stargate units, so this is so cool to see.